Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in for today's session. Yeah, and let's warmly welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Yash Gupta. Hi, Yash.
Hey Gargi, hey everybody. Can you all hear me all right? Give me a
Yeah,
thumbs up
yes, you
or
are.
just
Yeah.
awesome, great. Super nice to be here.
Thank you so much for agreeing and joining us on a very short notice. Yeah, we'll
No, that
begin. We'll
pleasure
begin.
is all mine.
We'll begin with a brief introduction from your side, and later on we'll moving on to the questions. So please go ahead.
Awesome, great. Hey everyone, my name is Yash. I think the image displayed here does a pretty good job of quickly telling you about my background snapshot. But real fast, I am currently based in Dallas, Texas, and it's a Sunday morning here, and very excited to be meeting all of you. I did my bachelor's from Bennett University in mechanical engineering and machine learning, after which I started working in startup, predominantly doing sales for a couple of years. That's when I decided to make a transition and move countries, push myself out of the comfort zone. And I came down to America in the year 2022. That's when I pursued a year-long degree in business analytics with a Master of Science degree. For the last 2 years, I've been working in a Fortune 500 company called Avery Dennison, and we do a lot of identification solutions, RFID innovation, and I act as a global project manager, supporting various initiatives globally, and have been really having fun, enjoying my time here in the US, and hope that I can share some anecdotes and stories and experiences from my journey and learn about your ambitions and how can I best help you there. Dargi, you're on mute.
So that was great, Yash. Thank you for sharing it with all of us.
Okay, so
Pleasure.
let's move on to the questions now that you all have submitted. And towards the end, you all have the opportunity to ask your doubts and interact with him directly. So let's start with the first question. So, like coming from a mechanical engineering background, so what really inspired you to pursue the higher studies from abroad?
I think that's an interesting one. I feel like pursuing mechanical engineering in general, and I know my professor is on call, Dr. Dipali. So very, very warm welcome to you, ma'am, and thank you for attending this call. Uh, so doing the degree actually really taught me how to think critically and solve problems. I may not be an expert in material science or thermodynamics, but I definitely learned how to break a problem statement and approach it in a very methodical way. Uh, but then I was also graduating in the year of pandemic, if you realize. My internship started in 2020, and that's when all the global markets had crashed. And I am a guy who actively chases growth and money. Who doesn't want money, right? Everybody wants growth and money. So I quickly decided to jump into sales. The reason why, even after doing 2 years of sales in startup, and I was actually earning a very handsome compensation. I started out as an intern, and I was promoted to a senior manager in 2 years, where I was leading a team of 65 employees myself. My learning had somehow stopped. I saw as a senior manager, I'm doing the same thing that probably the AGM of the company is doing with, I don't know, 200 people, right? And there was a lot of different workplace stress, pressures that I had to meet because in a startup, you're almost doing everything, right? So that's when I decided that I wanted to continue my learning journey and get back to school. So my internal motivation really came from the idea of learning more, go back to the academic setting where I can get closer to the professors, understand some statistical use cases. I definitely wanted to bring data science, analytics in my education all over. I did a minor in machine learning, but had very less opportunity to apply while I was at Bennett University. There were definitely academic projects, but I really wanted an opportunity to apply that in real world, solve some company industry challenges. That's when I decided to move out and I started applying abroad and got into college here in Dallas. I don't know if it helps you answer the question, but my personal motivation really came from just going back to school. And I might actually do that again in 5 years from now. Who knows, right? Doing an executive MBA from another B school. So you're never too old or young to be
Yeah.
studying all over.
Yeah, it does answer the question. So the next one is like, what factors were you considering for shortlisting the university? Like beyond just test scores, what all factors one should consider?
Great question. I think for me, I am a very self-sponsored candidate. What does that mean? Uh, essentially came on a student loan, right? So first things first, I wanted to choose a college, a university which is very budget friendly. You could go to a Harvard and probably end up paying 1 crore if you want, but there's a key aspect of return on investment. How much money you put in your tuition fees, in your living cost, and what do you get out of it, correct? So I remember I had built a spreadsheet with a few colleges who were which were offering the degree that I wanted. I was sure I wanted to do a Master of Science in Business Analytics. If you're not sure about what degree you want, then it becomes very tough. But I was sure about the degree that I wanted. So I started looking at the list of colleges, which are obviously ranked on QS World, US News, ranked by curriculum, and I was listing down their tuition fees next to it. And immediately, the expensive ones were out of my consideration, right? And I'm just telling you the steps of how you can choose your college. And if for me, if a college was decently ranked and the tuition fee was also decent, that was a good match, right? Then I would think about, okay, let's apply to this college. Let's see if I can get further scholarships and help me reduce my tuition cost. And the other thing that I wanted to do was do a degree in 1 year. It's absolutely insane. It's neck breaking and it's really difficult to do 33 credits in 9 months. Most of the times, your master's degree are for 2 years, but I did it in 1 year because that would help me be financially independent sooner, right? If you're studying for 2 years, then you have to pay rent and ask money from home or your bank for another extra year. So for that 1 year, lock yourself in, do the hard work, and save some money if you can. And obviously, there was a large consideration around the reputation of the professors, the curriculum owners, the program directors. So I had to do an in-depth research of whether if the university has amazing tie-ups with companies that hire from that university, what happens after you graduate. There's a whole fee aspect to it too. So that was some of my starting pointers when I started to think about my journey abroad.
That was really helpful.
Yeah, for someone planning MBA or MS from abroad, how should one decide between GRE, GMAT, and IELTS exam, or when can we skip them altogether?
Um, I think so. There's a couple things. There is an exam for your English language assessment, which is either you do IELTS or TOEFL, and then there is your an exam to test your academic compatibility competitive assessment, which is either GRE or GMAT, right? So a secret about my applications. I never gave a GRE, I never gave a GMAT. And I can tell you why that was acceptable in my case. But first, let me break it down for you. Between IELTS and TOEFL, um, TOEFL is widely accepted across all colleges, even if you're thinking some other countries, not just United States. So TOEFL has a wider acceptance rate range. I gave IELTS, so I cannot speak much to TOEFL. Since I was coming to United States, I know most of the US colleges accept IELTS, so that was an easy shot for me. So you definitely have to choose one. And honestly, preparing for it is not really hard. I prepared for it for 1 week and I was able to get a 7.5, which is not amazing, but it gets me through all the American colleges on a scale of 9, right? You get a pointer of 9 on IELTS. So let's talk about the competitive assessment exams. Again, between GRE and GMAT, GMAT is widely accepted, right? GRE is usually preferred when you're trying to go for a STEM degree, which is in science, technology, engineering, or management. But GMAT is accepted across all degrees, especially management degrees. So my first recommendation would be you prepare and give an exam that is more popular and widely accepted. But here's the catch. GRE is easier than GMAT, and I think IELTS is easier than TOEFL. So if you are having less time on your hands, then give GRE and IELTS. About 80% of the colleges do accept that, and all the top ones definitely do. But if you want to break into a college which may not accept GRE or IELTS, then you have to give TOEFL and GMAT, both of which are harder than their counterparts, but are more widely accepted. So there's a trade-off that you need to do. If you have more time in hand, prepare for the tougher one. If you have less time in hand, go for GRE and IELTS. It's a call that you need to make.
Yeah, so what were the resources or the platforms that you were using during your preparation for IELTS?
IELTS, YouTube. I know you will hate me for it, right? Uh, YouTube was the only thing. There are multiple free resources out there by various lecturers and professors and great guys who thought that, you know what, this is knowledge and knowledge should always be free. So I did not pay for any Udemy, Edureka, Unacademy courses or no private coaching, nothing like that. I was also very confident in my English speaking and writing and reading and listening skills. So I thought YouTube is enough for me, and it did a great job in telling me what the format of IELTS will be, how to appear for exams, when to show up, what are the test centers that you can apply for, what are the costings behind it, how can you prepare for it, what are some of the new words that you need to know, etc. I would always recommend cost-effective ways of achieving your goal, because end of the day, you have to trust this, right? There's again an ROI aspect to it. There's no guarantee that you will have great results if you put in a lot of money. The only guarantee can come with your hard work, your strategy, and your decisions. So I would recommend YouTube any day.
Yeah, so in continuation with this question only, how did you prepare for the writing and speaking sections for the IELTS exam you gave?
Yeah, any tips?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
any tips for it also?
absolutely. The good thing was when I was giving my IELTS, I had one of my friends give it with me too. So we were doing a buddy sessions, right? We were bouncing off ideas off of each other. We did do mock interviews with each other. We had multiple videos on YouTube that showed demo sample videos of how to do the speaking session. So we were running simulations between ourselves, and we were trying to ensure that we are creating a real life experience. And I think that is a great way if you're preparing for those sections where someone else has to sit across the table and ask you questions. The questions and the conversation during an IELTS exam are very simple, very, very, very simple, right? You just have to be confident and ensure that you're and feel like you're speaking to just somebody else like you would otherwise. So it was helpful while my friend and I practiced together. There were options for me to pay at different websites and appear for mock sessions with other people. But again, there was a cost to it, and I was not very willing to pay extra charges. But if in case you feel like you want to do that, definitely encourage it. The other thing that you can do is you can really record yourself when you're trying to speak. Try um, try doing a 60 seconds speech competition, or give yourself a random topic and speak on it for 60 seconds and record yourself while doing it. That's a great way of circling back, looking back at video and see that where were the parts where you stuttered, where you had little hiccups, where can you improve. It's more of a self-driven activity, and if you have a friend along in the journey, it's even better.
So, next question is that what were some common mistakes you see students making while preparing or applying to programs abroad?
I think lacking enough research. That needs to be number one uh, mistake. And I can tell you a funny story, right? So I had a friend of mine, and we did studies at my time of undergrad together at Bennett University. Obviously, I'm not going to name him, right? He's going to kill me for it. But he wanted to move to Canada, right? I wanted to come to US, and he wanted to move to Canada. And he applied very easily, got accepted into the college. The website was all nice and natural and felt like an exciting place to be. Amazing tuition fee, less hurt to the pocket. And he got his visa, his tickets are booked. Everybody in the family has already given him a farewell party. And then he lands in Canada, goes to his uncle's house, and then a week later, he arrives to the campus. Campus is nothing but one building with 3 floors and 20 classrooms. An absolute shock, right? Who would have thought that he's traveling countries to just, like, there's no campus vibe, right? It does not have a placement cell. It does not have even a backyard for the students to come out, chill, and play. And it was absolutely earth-shattering for him. He, however, did 4 months in that college and felt depressed. The quality of students were also not as good, and he eventually dropped from the college and went back to India. Imagine the amount of money spent. He had already taken a loan from the bank. What happens when you have a 25 lakh loan on your head and you just drop out of college, right? It's a disaster. So I think the number one mistake anybody can do is not do research. And people might think doing research on Google is enough. It is not. You have to scour the internet, look at every possible resource out there. Google, LinkedIn, YouTube. Go to Reddit. I don't care. Go to Reddit. See threads and comments from different people. Reach out to the students and professors from that college or university. Set up 15 minutes on Google Meet and ask them questions about the campus. Ask them questions about the curriculum. They are the guys who will tell you the real insight because they're a part of that system, right? If you think your research is enough, trust me, it is never, right? So go all out and do extensive research as much as you can. And probably the second mistake that I see a few students doing is they're never prepared on the materials that are needed, right? Your letters of recommendations, your work certificates, your SOP, there are spelling errors, it's not proofread. The quality of application is overall very poor, right? And if you're planning to come to United States, which has one of the best universities in the world, and the system has been set here for decades, right? They have amazing screening mechanisms to screen your profile in seconds. You don't want to get yourself eliminated just because your grammar was not on point, or your resume was not in the great format, or when they asked 3 letters of recommendation, you only had one, right? So just being extensively aware with the research aspect and being fully prepared with the materials that are needed. Even if it's your loan document signed by your branch manager and submitted on so and so date, you need to be on top of it.
Thank you for the um, advice you gave. Now, next question is, if someone doesn't get a great score or fails an attempt, how should they bounce back or rethink their strategy?
Um, that's a good question, right? Honestly, I feel, and I have never had this experience myself, but I can tell that if your scores are not good enough, and you will get to know only when you give the exam and the results are out, or you thought your score was good and you applied, but you never got into your dream college. That's the only way to probably guess that your scores are not good enough. I think my first advice to every student would be, you do not have to quit your full time job and do this, right? Your application process can happen on the side while you're pursuing your full time job. Because if you quit your full time job and think that, okay, now for 6 months, I'm going to resign and I'm going to prepare my SOP, apply, interview, you're gone, buddy, right? The market is rough, it's rougher than ever, and crazy things are happening in this world. I don't know if you guys are following the news. There's a lot happening in Middle East right now. Okay? You do not want to keep yourself in a situation or a position where you don't have a job to pay your bills, or you're financially dependent on your dad or mom, and you're sitting back at home and your grades were poor, and then you're sitting back at home another year. That will depress you, that will kill your motivation, and probably the second time your grades will not be as okay as it was in the first time. It might even deteriorate. So my strong advice to everybody, as you think about bouncing back, is always have something in the backup running, right? If you want to do your master's immediately after bachelor's, definitely apply for Indian schools as well. Indian schools are amazing, right? It's not that the best infrastructure and universities are out there or out here, right? Apply for MTech, right? Apply for MS in India. Have those backup options ready, and please, please, please have your full-time job secured and lined up. All of this application needs to happen on the side in your evenings or on weekends. That is the only way to come back and realign. Okay, this year didn't work out. No problem. I still have my full-time secured at Walmart. I'm going to continue my day job and I'm going to apply again next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So now a common questions from student, like can someone with a mechanical or a non-CS background can switch to domains like business analytics or even computer science? Like what piece of advice do you have for them?
Anything is possible. I have seen someone do a bachelor's in psychology, and right now they're a data scientist at an ice manufacturing company. How is that possible? And they didn't even have job experience after their bachelor's. They did a 4-year degree in psychology, and then they did a master's in business analytics, and now they're a data scientist. Have we seen that? No, we have not. But it was possible because that person was determined. They did courses and they self-taught themselves to come up with what's happening in the world of Python, or if there are new packages, how to code better, how to learn some formulas and functions in spreadsheet, Excel, right? So switching career or switching your stream is actually very common, right? 10 years from now, I want you to challenge yourself and ask yourself this question: whatever you learned in undergrad, how much of that is relevant? With time, the relevancy decreases, right? Because you start making your own career trajectory. But it's very common. When it comes to advice and tips, I myself, I was a mechanical engineer. Well, I was studying mechanical engineering, and after that, I did sales. Had I didn't do a bachelor's in business administration. How did I end up doing sales? Why would the startup company even hire me for sales and business development if I was a mechanical engineer? Because I had a story to tell. I said I know how to solve a problem. The 4 years of engineering degree taught me this. So throw me any problem that you have. You're not getting sales, you're not penetrating in a market, you got me. And I did that. I solved their problems. I grew two verticals in the company. And then from sales, I applied for a business analytics degree where half the time I was running SQL queries and doing programming on R. Who likes programming on R? Nobody does, right? But I was doing it. How did that happen? Because I was able to give them another story, right? That, hey, no, I have a technical background and I definitely did coding while I was doing my bachelor's at Bennett University. So it totally depends on how you end up telling your story, how much of conviction you have in yourself, and how best can you prepare yourself with the latest topics in the industry. And if you are preparing yourself, you can always appear for interviews, give it a shot, and make a change happen.
Thank you for your advice.
Yeah. Why did you choose SMU Cox University and your specific program? And what was your application or interview experience like with the university you finally chose?
Great question. Uh, so for the reasons I mentioned before, SMU Cox One has a good reputation in America for their business analytics program. The directors are very popular in the industry. They are very well renowned. So both the faculty and the ranking was pretty nice. Second, um, SMU Cox had an option that if you come with work experience, if you have a very credible background, we can waive off your GRE and GMAT. That's how I got rid of it. I wrote an essay saying that, hey, you know what? I don't need to give a GRE and GMAT. You want to test me on my competencies, but I have 2 years of industry experience that can speak a lot to it. I wrote an essay and they said, fine, great. You don't need a GRE or a GMAT. My third reason was it had a very decent fee structure. And I was also getting offered a scholarship of, I think, $15,000 off of my tuition fee. They did not even have an application fee. So I was looking at those little green signals, if you would say, green signals that, okay, great. Amazing ranking, great faculty, amazing curriculum. It had a variety of elective choices that I can choose and customize my program from, right? Let's say if I wanted to get into marketing analytics, data science, data engineering, right? I could customize it the way I like it. And then great network with amazing companies that be it your consulting firms or manufacturing companies, right at the breakthrough of innovation, good fee structures, scholarship, and plus it was based in Dallas. Now, the fun part about Texas as a state in the United States is it is very affordable as a state. It's booming with economy, and you could afford more things, right? In general, your cost of living is less. Your fuel prices, your rent, your grocery, everything is less. And then eventually it was a 1 year program. Like I said, that's what I wanted, right? So all the buckets were kind of check, 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 check. And I was like, it's a clear choice, right? For me, based on what I like, SMU Cox it is. There are some universities which are probably even better ranked than SMU Cox and probably even have better curriculum, but they could be in a city which is more expensive. So it's a trade-off that you need to do, and you need to determine what suits your bucket, your choices.
Great. So next is a very interesting question, like how has your international experience shaped your career or your perspective?
Oh, very much. I think so. After coming to the US, um, I did not travel much when I was a student, right? When I was studying for 1 year. But after graduating and after starting my job in US, I traveled quite a bit, right? Within US, outside of US, I had the opportunity to go to China, Netherlands, Dubai, Vietnam, couple times to India, uh, Mexico. So it feels like I've been to different parts of the globe already. And it's amazing to see how different cultures come together to work together and chase a common goal. So, overall, my experience when it comes to leading people, leading global initiatives have really changed. I think through the lens of a problem from very different perspectives now, and it has been massively helpful. And it has helped me nurture a global view of solving problems in general. I don't know how much can I speak to it, given the relevance of today's discussion, but in a nutshell, uh, it has taught me how to lead myself and the people around me better.
Yeah, thank you so much. What are some cultural or academic challenges students should be prepared for while moving abroad or while going abroad?
Culture shock. Number one, you're gonna come here to US and see everybody sleeps by 9 p.m. and you have to be okay with it. Yeah. Second, we do not do a lot of Diwali and Holi celebrations here. Right? It's all about Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Christmas, Memorial Day. So you have to be okay with it. Third, a lot of small talk happen, right? So you could have a total stranger walk up to you and say, "Hey, how's it going?" You don't know him, you don't know her, right? And it might feel like, whoa, who are you? Why are you asking me that question? And you have to be okay in responding by saying, hey, I'm great. Hope you are too. Small talk, right? A lot of that happens here in office and around. Third, when you come to the US, stop converting dollars into INR or else you would be tired. I remember first time I came to the US and I was booking an Uber from airport to my new apartment and it said $20, right? And I immediately stepped back and I said, okay, $20 from airport to my home means 1700 rupees? Are you serious? But that was a crazy realization that I have come to an expensive country. But it really is not the case. You have to be okay understanding that the purchasing power shifts. You earn in dollar and spend in dollar. And just like how in India you earn in rupees and spend in rupees, there you should not be converting them and making your life stressful. And there are other things about culture shock, the way students engage in the classroom. You don't have to ask. I used to do it when I was in at least my school. Ma'am, may I go to the restroom? Sir, may I go to the restroom? Here it's pretty open. You know, you just stand up, walk out, whenever you can walk in the middle of the classroom. Here, you need to be very self-driven. The atmosphere is more like, if you are serious about it, we are serious about it. And fortunately, unfortunately, I think unfortunately, here the teachers and the faculty members may not follow up on you on your problems. Right? You have to be a self-starter. In India, I feel personally feel that our teachers are very thoughtful and careful, and they follow up on you and check on you because there's an emotional connection. Here it's harder to build because you're in a new country and the ways of working, the lifestyle is very different. So you have to be okay with these things. There might be many lonely evenings, and you have to be okay with it, right? That's the price that you have to pay. You will leave your friends and family back in India, and if you're coming here for a challenge, you have to adapt to it and be okay with it. There are goods and the bads, and you have to look at both and weigh it out.
Yeah. So, like, how important is internship or research or some open source work when we are applying for the master's program abroad?
I think these are very when it comes to research, I had the privilege of actually collaborating with Dr. Dipali on my final year research thesis, which was a self-sustainable solar panel cleaning mechanism. So there's a lot of value that is given to research work, innovative ways of thinking, and everybody here, even companies here, place a lot of value. So if you're actively uh, authoring a research paper, or if you are building an app, or if you have a GitHub portfolio with interesting projects to it, definitely keep working on it. There are practical examples of how you can apply your skills, and I feel like there should be no reason as to why you do not stress on it. They're also a very good example to mention in your statement of work, SOP, or SOW, however you want to call it. So it highlights how you can think beyond the normal and find a solution that does not exist today, right? So, and Indian minds are respected for this. People in America really appreciate and respect the talented Indian minds. So you have to live up to that expectation.
Okay, so Yash, as you mentioned that we should have a good statement of purpose. So, how to make a great statement of purpose when we are, doing bachelors and planning to do masters after that? So, how to make it a great statement of purpose?
Be authentic, be real. That's number one, right? I feel like in this generation of ChatGPT and Gemini and Grok and all those art of AI tools, uh, we have stopped being authentic in our essays, right? Without the use of any AI tool, you need to be able to sit down, even if it's the most broken grammar, I don't care, right? Write out your whole essay within 1,000 words or whatever, right? And remember to write it in a way where the person who is reading it can find a value in your application. Always think from the career director's position or the college director's position, that why should I add Gargi or Tarushi or anybody to my cohort? What is the value that they're bringing to my new cohort? Are they going to come in with some research work that I would like to invest in, or are they going to bring that diverse experience and enhance the overall collective knowledge of 50 students in the classroom? How has Gargi in the past solved some problems? How has she ensured that she's always ahead of the curve when it comes to academic excellence? Really, really think about your authentic story. Talk a little about your background. How did your parents contribute to it? The value system that we have in India, right? And in the global scheme of things, how will you benefit the society after you pursue a degree from, let's say, Harvard. This degree from Harvard, why do you want to do this degree? Why only from Harvard? Why not from anywhere else? And when you do it, how can you make the world a better place? Really challenge yourself to think beyond the normal and be as authentic as possible. Tell a few examples, a few stories in your SOP, and then once you have made that version over and over and over and over again, ask your friends, ask your professors, ask your intern managers to read it, give you feedback. Then you go to AI and say, can you correct the grammar and can you make the flow smooth? AI will do the final touch ups. There you go. Your SOP is ready.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Yash. Also, one of the major question that people ask is if we are having an average academic background, so how we can come to foreign universities, like not having an excellent academic background, we are just an average student, let's say. So how we can apply to good foreign universities?
What does good mean for you? That would be my first question. With my background, it would have been impossible to break into Harvard, Stanford, MIT. I was a good student. I was not an excellent student. And even my work experience was just 2 years in startup. So I knew my place, right? You need to be very, very self aware and know what you can really try for. So I never really tried to break into those Ivy League colleges, also because they're expensive too, right? So I think if you have, there's a college waiting out for you, no matter if you're good, bad, average. There's definitely a college that can accept you. You need to know that, right? It's how you, obviously, you can't change your GPA, correct? Your GPA is honest truth. It's your SOP, it's the quality of your resume, it's the things that your professors and your managers say in your letter of recommendation. All these things that are in your control can offset probably an average GPA. So if your GPA is not as great, then you better ensure your SOP is excellent, your LOR is excellent, your resume is top notch, your transcripts, other documents are absolutely without a complaint. That's how your overall score goes from average to above average, maybe even good, right?
Yeah. Okay, so one more question is, as we were talking about LORs and other documents, so how early one should start, collecting and preparing all these documents when we are planning to, do masters? So how early we should begin this all?
You should have started yesterday. That's my response, right? It's there's never a right time, right? The right time was yesterday, right? So I'm going to keep it short. There is no right time to start. But if, let's say, if you're planning to get into a fall session, which starts in September in US, you would ideally start exactly a year back, 1 year back. So let's say if you want to go for masters next year
Yeah.
in September, you would start around August, September this year because there is an early round that happens, the early round, early decisions for every college. You have the highest chance to get into an early round because a lot of people are lazy. And while they are lazy and they're trying to apply in round one or round two for a college, you can be an early applicant and you can get into the college. So that's a little secret out there. So if you want to break into Harvard or if you want to break into Stanford or any other Ivy League college or SMU, and if you want to increase your chances, then you start getting your SOP, your LOR, your resumes right now so that you can apply in the early round by August or September and get an admit decision. And then you have 1 full year to plan your visa, your travel, your loan, blah, blah, blah. But again, like I said, you should have started it yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, so as you discussed about loans and also the last question is, being an Indian student, how we can apply for the loans and how much on an average does it cost to do a masters from US?
Great question. I feel just like in India, we have private colleges and government colleges. We have the same concept here. Private is always expensive. Government colleges are little on the cost effective side. Um, I feel your scholarship really depends from um, college to college and application to application, correct? So there's no guarantee that you will get a scholarship. But on an average, your master's costs you anywhere in the range of 30,000, 28, $30,000 at the lower
Okay.
to it can go up to $100,000 if you're going for the top colleges, right? So you need to find a sweet spot for yourself. I was okay with $40,000. I said I don't want to go above that, and $40,000 was after scholarship. So
Okay.
after I got scholarship, it came down to $40,000 for me. There are definitely amazing some some good colleges with better fees out there. I was not able to break into them; it was competitive, but there are some colleges that have a better ranking and a smaller fee structure. But again, you can imagine with more ideal constraints, you have more competition, and you have to be a much better candidate. But to give you an answer, it ranges from 28, $30,000 to $100,000, even $120,000. And almost major Indian banks are willing to offer you loan for education and living both. The best bank in India to get a loan from is SBI. You take it from me, they have the best interest rates. SBI Bank. Other banks have a higher interest rate. And if you're willing to do it from a foreign lender, I would not recommend it. I did a foreign lender, the interest rate was high. I had no collateral, that's why I had to go with the foreign lender. You use, but if you have a collateral to put against it, then definitely try SBI. But if you don't have a collateral, then it's going to be Prodigy Finance, and you can take a loan from Prodigy Finance and then refinance it with SoFi, which is in US. I did that route, which is a longer route, but I know we're not here to talk about finances.
Okay, so thanks for sharing all the details with the students and other panel members. We are having a few questions in the chat, so let's take up them quickly. Okay, so the first one is there any CGPA criteria too? So I think we have discussed it, or maybe you can throw some light.
Yes, Ria, there is a CGPA criteria. I know in India we do a 10-point rating, but
Yeah.
whenever you're applying to a US university, you need to be able to convert it into a 4-point scale. And it is not something that you will just divide and tell, right? There are some tools out there that help you take information and very systematically convert your 10-point CGPA into a 4-point CGPA. Um, Yes, and there is a CGPA criteria, obviously. The top schools don't even look at your application if you're less than 3.8. Harvard, Stanford, MIT on a scale of 4. But usually having a converted CGPA of 3.5 and above is always great.
Okay. So we have a next question that is having research publications, internships, and projects helps in admission in MS, MBA, and US universities.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Whatever you do outside your classroom is the only proof of how you have applied academic skills in a practical setting, right? So definitely at least one research publication in your name where you're the author or a co-author. Having two is great, but if you have one, that's also fine. Internships, if you have a 4-year degree, you should at least have one internship experience. uh, Anything more than one is great. And projects, of course, all the academic projects that you never wanted to do, now is the time to pick them up.
Okay, so the next question that we are having is balancing college and job with preparation is tough. So, how did you manage everything during your application phase?
Great question. I fully agree. It is tough, it is stressful, and you never want to tell your colleagues about the fact that you're going to leave them, right? You never want to do that. You don't want to tell unless your manager is supportive of it and you can. But most of the times people hesitate, and it's okay to hesitate, right? So it's the hustle that you do in secret, it's the hustle that you do in dark, but there's only light ahead of you. I feel like for me, time management was always my core strength. I'm a guy who runs on schedule. I have a calendar where I block things. I have alarms in my phone that keep me disciplined. And I can show you around. I have very motivational posters around me in my room. I don't know if you can see them, right? I keep myself looking at those long-term vision boards and say that no worries, hustle today, reap tomorrow. So I feel like you have to be very disciplined with your schedule. It's okay to occasionally go out, have fun with your friends, socialize, play, etc. But at least spend 1 hour on a weekday on your foreign application, and at least 2 to 3 hours on your weekends if you're preparing for an exam. That's non-negotiable, and that's something that you need to keep yourself aligned onto it, and always have, like I said, a friend or a mentor or a professor that you check in with, right? It always feels better if you're giving your updates to someone else, right, who can hold you accountable, that okay, Gargi, or okay, Abhiruchi, Tarushi, what is the progress that you have made in the last 2 weeks? So find that mentor for yourself, find that professor for yourself who's aware of this next career move that you're going to make, and take their advice, take their feedback, have them as your cheerleader, as your sponsor along the journey. It really, really helps having an elder guide you when you don't feel motivated at all.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Yash. If anyone else is having any other question, you can like you have 3 minutes and you can write it either, or you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up the session.
I think I did a good job answering all the questions, huh?
Of course.
Great. Now, this is awesome, guys. I think I just want to leave everybody on this one small note. I know this is not a part of the panelist discussion, and this is not a question that people are probably asking or even hesitate to ask. I want you all to think about whether if it's the right time to come to the US. In my recent conversations with a lot of students, I have always challenged them to think whether if it's the right time. I don't know how much of news trends are we following, but there's a new administration in place. The policies
Hi.
have been changing,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of conflicts happening around the world, right? I want you to know that India, when it comes to offering infrastructure, education, background, mentorship, is no less than America, right? Very much so competitive, and very much so uh, at par with it, right? So I want you to really think about it, that if you come to the US right now or whenever, right? 1 year from now or 2 years from now, when you're graduating, are you able to see those industry trends? Are you able to position yourself with the right degree, which is relevant for the market? I know we're all, no, I did a bachelor in this, so I want to do a master's in this, or I really want to study this subject. Awesome. You do want to, great. But if you want to go and study a subject which may not be as relevant 3 years from now because there's AI to take our jobs, just kidding, you really need to be able to think about it, right?
Mhm.
Have that long term view, look at the geopolitical situation, stay up to date with news, understand whether if your degree is going to still be relevant 3 years from now, right? Because everything is moving towards hyper-paced digitization and automation, and soon you will have algorithms do your job, right? So really, really, really challenge yourself and think about what's the right time, what's the right degree, and then only make a decision.
Okay.
I see there's another
Yeah, there's
question.
more question. Yeah, that is
Uh,
Europe better for masters?
that's a tough one to answer because I've only been to Europe for fun. But I think completely depends on you, Yadunandan. If you feel you want a more cost-effective degree and we want to be closer to home, obviously Europe. Um, US tends to be on the more expensive side. It's also far from India. Um, I also feel that Europe is doing a great job when it comes to talking about the new trends like sustainability and innovation. They're doing a great job, and they're actually the leaders in the world space of sustainability. So, if you wanted to pursue a master's in engineering, sorry, master's in energy management, or master's in sustainability, or master's in corporate social responsibility, etc., right? Those not so popular subjects. If you want to go down that route, Europe will be an obvious clear winner. And if you do those master's degree, you probably end up seeing yourself in UN, UNICEF, working with global organizations, right? At an officer position. But again, there's conflicts happening all over the world, right? Eh, With US and Iran, and now things with Middle East. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is ever going to be safe. So you choose your battle and fight it. Could I completely change my current BTech in CSE to MSc in physics or allied to become a scientist? Of course, sir, you can. Just ensure that you have the right certifications, coursework in place to clearly justify how this is possible for you. It should, end of the day, it should make sense to the program director, right? A program director sitting in a good college, let's say Georgia Tech, and is looking at your application for MSc in physics, he or she needs to be able to believe that yes, you're a good candidate for it. So think from their perspective, prepare accordingly, do research, highlight that in your SOP so that it all makes sense. But again, like I said, switching streams or subjects or career trajectory, it's very much possible, and we have always seen guys like you and I do it.
Okay. So thank you, Yash, for an insightful session. We really, all of us really enjoyed it. And thank you so much once again for sharing all the details with us and joining in such a short notice. You said a yes once we asked you, and you just said, yes, I'm willing to come. So thank you so much for that. And let's have a quick photograph. Yeah, so
Yes, it was such a great session.
Great. And while Gargi is taking a picture, everybody, you should have my LinkedIn. If you ever want to connect with me on LinkedIn and reach out with any question that you have that you couldn't ask right now, or just want to ask to me separately in a discreet manner, I'm always going to be there to answer you. I may not be able to answer you the same day because given my current workload, but I will definitely respond to you within 3, 4, 5 days of time. So please have my LinkedIn profile, get it from Gargi, Abhiruchi, or Tarushi, and definitely reach out if you have any question that I can help you support in your journey. And I'm always there if you need any kind of help, so you can definitely rely on me.
once again, thank you, Yash, for the session, and hoping that you have a great day ahead.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. It was great seeing you all. You have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a good
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Yash.
Bye.